Today we will be servicing drive ratchets. I'm sure there's plenty of them out there by the millions that if the grease has all gotten hard inside and they just don't work the way they used to, or perhaps they're really dry and they need some service, or you got frit inside. Doesn't matter. We'll take care of it all today. We'll deal with the Craftsman, the SK, the Stanley, the Cobalt, offshore, benchtop, and the little Craftsman, which is considerably different because it's way newer than this one is. And then we'll deal with this model too, this 3/4 drive that we don't know where it came from. The company was, they were afraid to put their logo on it because the quality was that high. Let's have a look. Now the first thing I did is I folded up a rag so I could put the ratchet off the end so it's hanging off the edge. I also shifted it into neutral position, if you will, so it didn't do any ratcheting. It's just, you can go both ways. So now it's in neutral. I've got it clamped to a bench. It just makes it easier for you. You don't have to do that, but it will save you a lot of time. What you want to do next is grab yourself whatever your favorite needle nose is that has a tip that has some, how do I say, useful edges still on it. Sometimes these small tools end up having these all smeared, and they're no good if they're smeared. You need a tip that has some bite to it still left. Now you could use something like this too, but these you can see are pretty smeared. So they're not going to hold on nearly as well as the other ones will. So try to find something you like, whatever it is. These are also nice, something with some teeth, but those are a little big. So we're going to get inside of here. The first thing you might notice is yours might be just loaded with grease in here. Feel free to take some parts cleaner, whatever your favorite parts cleaner is, brake clean, whatever it is. Put some safety glasses on and find a place all the grease can drip and give it a hose down so you can get in here. These were pretty nice because this has been serviced many years ago. So hold these two together in a flat. The key here is to keep these flat. Once you've closed them, you don't want it rocking. That's the trick. So put them in here and attempt to have them flat, if you will. And then while you hold it in that position, you're going to work this carefully. This should come out really easy, and it's not. This is not your typical at all. It always comes out very, very easy. I wonder if I got some frit in there. Once those rings are together, it's released. There we go. A little wiggling finally brought it out. Keep your finger on the back edge so when that opens up, you're not going to have a problem. Inside, you'll have 3 pieces you can take apart. This stays as is. No big deal. And then you have this washer, if you will, that has a bezel facing outward. All right, just so you remember that. Doesn't matter which way this goes on. Now let's have a look inside. On this one, you can see it's very dry in there. There's nothing really going on for lubrication. You can see a witness mark down below that's very worn, showing it's been dry on grease an awful long time. That shouldn't be quite that way unless it's been used a lot. The rest doesn't look too dirty. And then you have this inside. Now it's time for you guys to play Let's Make the Call. If yours works nice like this, I wouldn't take it apart. If it's very, how do I say, greasy, where it moves real slow, you can consider taking WD-40 and just spraying it in here right now and move it left and right. Spray some in here, spray some in here, just keep moving it left and right. Keep moving it, play the game, spray some more. Of course, over an area where it can drip. But the thing is, it will make all that grease go into a solution that'll allow it to run out. And then thereby adding lubrication to that ball and the spring. If you guys want to take it out, it can be a problem to put back in. Sometimes you'll wish you hadn't done that. So I didn't know if I was going to continue showing you guys that or not. But for me, I don't have a problem with it most times. Some of you out there might think that it's not very funny, but we're going to do it anyway. So grab the back side of these ears with your favorite plier, and you're going to wiggle it upward. Okay? Ooh. Luckily, I have seen where that went. At least I saw movement. There we go. And that is my fault for not mentioning keep your finger on that tightly. And I did not. So here's the little thing that'll come ripping out of there. Be very careful. The better way I should have shown you and forgot is when you bring this out of the top of here, if you hold your fingers to either side as you're bringing this up and out, that can't happen. But because I did not, it took off. So be careful with that. Next you'll have this piece that's going to release that ball. And although the ball won't fly, it's going to fall out and roll wherever it wants to. It's under very little load right now. And that's the problem, putting it back in and getting it under micro load without pushing the ball away. I do have a solution for it, but it's a little tricky. Now, if you feel brave and you want to take the selector switch out and make sure everything's 100% clean, you can start by, if you want, putting it in neutral, although you don't have to. This will take off once it's under load and comes out. It grows considerably. So be careful with the retaining ring inside your snap ring, whatever you want to call it. Definitely under some load. As you pick up, keep your fingers in containment here, downward pressure, and it shouldn't be able to fly then. Release it into your fingers, let it expand, and there you have it. Pretty simple. Next, be careful of what you do. The little ball inside there is under almost no tension the way you see it. But the second you pull this piece out, it will then roll away. So I love having something on a table like a towel where stuff like that can't happen. Grab yourself a little needle nose, and you're going to extract just the center piece, pull straight up, and put your finger in the back, right in here, so that that ball will roll only towards your finger and won't be lost. And there we have it. It's laying inside. See what I mean? Take that ball, give it a dump in your hand, and there's a spring that has to come out still too. So be careful you don't lose it. You can see it way down in the bottom inside there. I like to remove those with a little mini screwdriver. Don't put it under load as you pull it out of there so it doesn't twang and take off on you. And there you have it. Next, you'll want to clean all your parts and just reassemble. And I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. While you clean your parts, I'm going to clean mine, and then I'm going to show you what to re-lube and how to put it back together. Okay, you should have 8 parts all cleaned up now. Plus your ratchet body itself, 9 total pieces. First thing, you might want to check out, when you push in the button here, does that ball fall inside all on its own? Or is it sticky? Most times this one will fall in. I did clean it. You want to see that that moves in on its own. If it doesn't, feel free to push this in and put a little bit of that spray in there, whatever kind of cleaner you like, whether it's brake clean or that electro motor clean by CRC, electromotive they call it. Maybe you'll want to try some of that. And also shoot some in the back here where you see that hole opening up. And work it a few times, play the game, and you'll see dirt start to come out the front of here. You can even add there, but just work it a little bit, and you'll see once the dirt runs clear out of there, that thing should pop right back in there real nice for you. After you do that, time to give things a lube before we put it back together. You can see witness marks all over the inside. I love to look for these. When you see something that's all shined up, we have metal-to-metal contact that's happening obviously there for that width and this diameter. So you're going to just look for the places that it has to have lube. So we see the neck here is worn. The plating is gone from it. Same with up at the top. Both faces here, of course. So that's the kind of stuff we're going to lube right away. Now we're going to put the spring in first. So pay attention to only what's going on in here right now. That's what we're going to do. So I like to use the tip of a screwdriver. Put a little bit on there, and I can work that to the different surfaces on the inside. Smear it around pretty nice in here. Works pretty good. It's a nice pinpoint applicator. I like it. You don't need much in here at all. Don't fill it up, whatever you do. You're not trying to do that. You're just trying to coat very lightly the surfaces. That's it. All right, we have that handled. Next, we're going to take the spring itself and put a little bit of grease around the outside of that so that it can track up and down in this hole real nice. All right. Put your finger behind, and it can never really go anywhere on you. Get that to slide down in there. We'll have to nudge her down in there with a little screwdriver. Now, it's a neat idea to take a little bit of grease, just a tad, and put it on top of this spring. And that's going to be our glue, so to speak, to hold the little ball once we drop it in. So put your finger in behind, and then you're going to stand the ratchet up. And from the front, just drop the ball in. But you're going to want to take a small screwdriver, a thin, small screwdriver that's maybe 1/8 of an inch across at best. And you're going to push that ball down and hold it down in there. Now, if you put enough grease on there, you might be lucky to be able to put this down carefully, and it won't even move. And it didn't. We're lucky. So you're going to hold that ball down in there, and you're going to put your screwdriver in such a way that it's down inside this groove so that there's room. All right? So you push your ball down inside, hold on to it, and drop this piece in, and you're done. That fast. Okay? Then you'll see that it will work. It's definitely moving. I couldn't get it to click, but it's moving. Next, take a little bit of grease. Put it on top of here, just so we have everything's got a little bit somewhere. I don't know that we really need anything on top of there, but we're going to make sure at least it won't rust. Do a test fit. It works perfect. Put it in neutral, if you will. Now this is the real easy part. And you're going to think it's hard, but I'm going to show you something cool. What you do is hold this ring, this retaining ring, snap ring, tightly in the groove against this little piece. Then you're going to set it on top of here and hold the load against the ring that's sitting on top. Now, put your fingers left and right side like this. And put load with your fingers down. So there's no way that snap ring could come out of there even if it tried. Even if it lets go, it's only going to snap into your fingers. All right? Once you have that load downward, feel free to take your favorite pliers of needle nose, whatever you have. And it's time to play the game. Get the very tip hooked over. And come around with it. This thing has to stay centered. Oh, see, I didn't maintain that load, and look what happened. It dropped out. Now the front isn't in, and you have to have that front remain engaged. This normally works first try, so don't feel that it's a big problem if it didn't go for you. So once again, you have it engaged. Put a load downward so that it can't come free. Let's try these instead. I think these open a little more. Grab your needle nose and work it around the edge and hold down. Still holding down, don't stop, whatever you do. And make sure that this is free to move, and it is. So you know at that point it did drop in. All right. Now, only easy stuff is left. Grab your little screwdriver, put some more grease inside. And you're going to want to pay attention to the areas that have witness marks. Wherever there's wear, definitely get some grease in there. Now, it'll probably be easier to grease the other piece and not this. But I'm going to get these ratchet paws too. We didn't want to grease those before because that's a real problem, greasing all that stuff and then putting it together. Your fingers will be all loaded with it, so you're going to want to do this all last. See, we got plenty smeared on there. And now go ahead and do this piece. You're going to want equal amounts all the way around on both sides. And again, it doesn't need to be flooded, it just needs to be coated. And you'll notice when you're done that it operates really smooth and really quiet versus that heavy duty clanking inside. And it's going to make everything last a heck of a lot longer than it possibly could. And the grease that I'm using is a synthetic grease that's designed for tablet presses. You guys feel free to use whatever you like, but I would suggest heavily you use a synthetic grease, because synthetic greases do not succumb to temperature change very easily, and you really need something that can handle temperature changes, because if you take this out in the cold, your ratchet won't work, and I don't know anybody who's going to want that. So synthetic grease is your friend. As far as oil goes, some people are going to say, can I oil it? I would stay away from oil because oil creeps. I'm sure you guys have all seen the game where you'll take a little bit of oil and you get a drop of it on your bench, and you come back 2 hours later and that one drop is now 3 inches in diameter. Well, you come back a week from now and that's a foot in diameter. So it continues to creep, creep, creep. So I don't really care for that. So I tend to stay away from the oils. So after you have that all lubricated and you put this front plate on, make sure that you have the bevel, the radius part, facing out. You're then going to put your snap ring around this unit. And we're going to do it exactly like the other one, where we hold it down just on the top with our fingers, and we're not going to let it go. This should be clamped down to make your life one heck of a lot easier, really quick. So I would do that immediately. You will save a lot of time if you do that. I can almost guarantee it. Once you're clamped down, feel free to follow this thing around. Are we in neutral? No, we are not. So that's one thing you really should do, but I didn't. We don't have to, though. That's definitely easier, though. Let's do it. See how that ratchet paw was in the way? Now we can drop it in, no problem. I shouldn't be trying to shortcut stuff. Shortcuts sometimes, they won't take you the easy way. Sometimes they will make you spend a lot more time. All right, now same game with this. Keep your fingers loaded tight so that ring cannot come backwards, no matter what. Grab your favorite pliers, and again, you're going to keep these tips flat as you can while you push down. Don't let go until you're sure everything's down. Now, if these haven't clicked back all the way, you know this is not down. So be careful. There we go. I heard it pop. Now, can you move this back and forth? Yes, you can. So we should be okay. Although I do remember that being open a little more before. I wonder what that's all about. Well, it appears it's closed as far as it's going to be. All right, so now you have a complete plier, or a complete, oh, look at how nice that works. A very complete drive ratchet. Now that works great. Yeah, it hasn't worked that way since it was new. All right, we have one down. Now clean whatever oil and whatever you got all over the thing off from your greasing and what have you. You now have one done. Let's move on to the SK next.